Background. So one thing I like to do when I'm getting started here is protect the pages before. So I've got all of my backgrounds before here in this book, and I don't want to get paint on them. So what I do is I take some sheets of magazine, or you could use parchment paper or wax paper. Something with a little resistance can be helpful. And then I clip it down. So I just get a big binder clip. You can also use chip clips, those work really well. And then I do it to the other side. Some people like to pre-glue their pages together. I prefer not to, because for some pages I might like to have them more thick than others. That's my preference, but you do you. So again, I'll put this one behind here. And I fold it over. And then I clip, like, if it's a smaller book, I clip the whole book if possible. The reason for this is that the book stays open, which is helpful. Okay, so today's background is gonna be pretty basic. I've been really liking this kind of dusty pink color. So I'm gonna just take this, I like to use it right out of the cap so I have a little bit less mess. But I may need to put it on a sheet to get a little bit more. So I'm just gonna use a pretty stiff brush to just dry brush it onto the background here. I don't want it to be totally solid. I kind of like having some of that texture on the page. When you run out of paint, put the cap back on, shake it back up, and you get more up there. So for this project, I'm doing 100 days of art journal backgrounds, and this has been really fun to explore different styles. I'm kind of letting go of the pressure of feeling like I need to finish the spread or, you know, think ahead to even where it's gonna go after this. The goal is to create as many different backgrounds as I can, and then maybe, probably one day go back and add layers on top and build off what I'm working on here. But it's been fun, and I've discovered different styles that I've never done before. So it's been really freeing in that way. And I've done the 100-day project in the past, never made it to day 100. I think I've gotten to the 30s. But I never wanted it to be stressful, so, you know, the goal is fun and to be creative and to challenge yourself, but we don't need any more stress in our lives. So if at some point this project doesn't feel aligned with what I'm hoping for anymore, I'm gonna let it go, but so far I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. It's really cool to look online and see all the other people's projects out there. People are just so creative. So yeah, I move my clips around, so wherever you first put them, they don't have to stay there. Move them around. All right, I think that's good for right now. So I got my little jar of water. Clean that off a little bit. Okay, so I'm kind of debating. I have this tissue paper I kind of want to work with, but I also kind of want to work with a brown paper bag. So I'm going to go with the bag and just kind of see where we go from there. So I am just going to cut it up about the size of the page that I have. to say oopies. My daughter is 22 months, and instead of saying oopsie right now, she says oopies. So I like to say that too. Okay. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of using materials that you just have around the house. It's fun and very addicting to get new art supplies. I'm all about that too. However, there's a lot you can use around your house that you can just do so much with. So, you know, I really believe in kind of breaking down the barriers to art making, whether it's financially with access to supplies, or just mindset wise of thinking that art needs to look a certain way in order to have purpose in your life. Okay, so I'm just cutting it down so it's got maybe like 1/4 of an inch border. That's the word, border. Okay. Okay, so we got one piece here. You see I've got the kind of dusty pink in the back, and then a piece of brown paper bag, and then I'm gonna make it easy on myself and just duplicate this. Not exact, I'm not measuring it, I'm not even tracing it, I'm literally just putting it on top here. Going like this. So I have come a long way with my art. I was definitely the perfectionist. I have to have a purpose for whatever I'm creating, whether it's to put it on the wall or be something functional or whatever. And I think art journaling really helped me work through that, because, you know, if you just think in layers, if there's something you don't like, you can always rip out the page or layer on top of it, whatever you want. So art journaling has been really helpful for me to challenge perfectionism, and then my training and my art therapy program was extremely helpful because it was all about the process over the product. So, you know, what you create in the end doesn't matter. It's really just about showing up and being present with the supplies. I love the idea of being curious and just letting the art guide you. So a lot of what I do is just start creating, and then based on what I create, I think, okay, what else might this need, or what else might be interesting to add? But I rarely go in with a finalized plan or anything. I might have some ideas or like some inspiration rolling around in my head, but nothing has been decided before I start. So yeah, it's been really freeing. I'm gonna grab something that's circular so I can trace this here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna trace this. And normally, so I want to cut out these circles out of this paper here. And normally I would use an X-Acto knife, but I don't have one on hand. So again, using what's around me, rolling with it here. Okay. Got a little circle, and then I'm just gonna do the old fold it over and get a hole in there. So the goal of making this video is just kind of to show you what my process has been, just kind of what I think about as I'm creating. Showing you it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have any idea what you're doing for this to be valuable. And by valuable, I mean like helpful for you. Not like something that you're gonna turn around and sell, but just making this time count for you towards self-care, just a moment to think about something else for a while. Okay, so we got the hole cut out. Stick that down. So at this point, my goal was initially to create 2 here, but now that I'm seeing it, again, just following the art, I kind of like this contrast, or this kind of balance. So I'm gonna glue this one down, and then I'm actually gonna cut this one up a little bit further and glue it down next to it. Don't have fancy glue. Let's see how well this comes out. Sometimes if it doesn't come out well of the bottle, I'll just stick a paintbrush in there and literally just pour it on, paint it right on there. Elmer's glue obviously dries clear, so if a little bit gets on the page behind it, that's okay. It might turn out a little glossy. It also might give it a little texture, which can be interesting. So this is not a neat and perfect process at all. And that is really freeing, because there's a lot of other areas in our lives where we have to be really exact and do things to a certain standard or whatever. And your art journal is one place where you don't have to do it that way. So if some of you are new to art journaling or haven't done it before, you might notice that I'm working in an old book. You don't have to use a book. There are some people morally opposed to ruining a book, and that's okay. A lot of times I search for books that are already ruined, or you might find them in a library that they would have discarded because they have water damage. So just know there are options. I like working in a book because a blank page can be a little intimidating. How do I start? Those kind of thoughts that come up. And what you do, it works for you. Okay. I'm going to very roughly put this together. It's not going to be a circle. That's okay. Now, when you're dealing with a lot of little pieces, you could individually glue them all. That works. I don't always do that. I might just put a bunch of glue right down here. That was a lot, and that's okay. So the thing is that the glue can kind of give, it can be a little bit like Mod Podge, or it can be a little bit of a sealant. So once you put your pieces down, if you do end up using a paintbrush, you can go back over it with the excess glue here and paint right over it. and that'll kind of give it a glossy effect. Sealing it in. So this is interesting, just looking at what I have created so far, and I'll hold it up in a moment. You know, on this left side I will have the glossiness of the glue that I'm sealing it with, and on the right it's like very matte finish. On the left here we've got just the disjointed pieces, and then on the right we've got the whole circle. So, you know, after this I might look at this. You can journal about it. You can draw from the art any connections to where you are in your life at this moment, or you could just leave it as art that you just made, just to give yourself a little time for yourself. Okay, this feels done for right now. This is the background I created. Again, I'll take this, I'll build upon it later, but for right now, for the 100-day challenge, this is the background for today. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, just a little peek into my process when I'm working on something. Every day looks different, and yeah, here we are.